The Bills are up 21-3, and they're going to run inside zone. But I want you to pay attention to Cody Ford, the left guard, versus Michael Brockers, as the Bills run that zone concept. On the snap, you're going to see Brockers get really good hand placement on Cody Ford here. Ford tries initially getting his hands inside. You see tight hands inside, but Brockers wins, and that elevates Cody Ford's pad level. And you see Cody Ford try to regain leverage right there. You see his hands come out wide, and there's just no way for him to recover. So Brockers has physical and positional leverage on him. He even puts his hips into the gap right here. And knowing the run concept and reading the run blocking footwork of the offensive line, Brockers knows that Singletary is probably going to have to cut it back up inside right here. So that's when Brockers disengages and helps make the tackle. And some of you are probably saying, hey, why didn't Deion Dawkins help Cody Ford gain leverage on Michael Brockers? He can only chase this block so far because he has to worry about coming back here and sealing off this defender right here, so that Singletary can obviously hit it up inside here. So it's up to Cody Ford to maintain positional leverage on Brockers so that Devin Singletary can get up inside here. And that's what's so bad about this play is Brockers is playing this gap right here, but Brockers is able to disengage and play this gap and defend this gap after Singletary makes his decision to get up inside. Just a bad job by Cody Ford at guard on this zone run concept, and it's something that both guards have struggled with this entire year. This is a downhill run. This is an inside zone run, and the play is there to be made, but Cody Ford is not able to stay engaged on his block, and that defender makes the tackle. First and 10 situation versus the Raiders. You see movement from Dawson Knox. He aligns in that sniffer roll, and the Bills bust out their counter tray run. And this play is actually blocked up pretty well at the point of attack. The deuce block between Ford and Dawkins gets really good movement to the backside linebacker. They create a nice alleyway. They collapse the edge of the Raiders defense here. But on the snap, Brian Winters, the puller, doesn't know exactly what he should be doing. Now, he is either going to log the defensive end or wall him. So if that defensive end decides to rush upfield, he will kick him out. He will wall him. If that defender spills like he does on this play, he will ride him inside. He's not sure on what to do. That defensive end is spilling inside, and he's spilling inside because he wants to make Singletary bounce it out wide right to the pursuing linebacker, Littleton. But Winters isn't sure on what he's supposed to do here, and you can see it based on his track to that defensive end. He is not sure whether he should be kicking him out or logging him. And he should easily be logging him just on how Farrell came down the line of scrimmage. Log him inside. Seal him inside so that now Dawson Knox can play off of that block and go ahead and get his defender, the linebacker. But because of Winters' indecision and inability to log that defensive end, now Knox bumps into him and it affects his block. And Singletary tries setting up Knox's block here, but there's just no way for him to do that. So he just makes the guy miss. Look at that move right there by Singletary. The offensive run game by the Bills has been like pulling teeth. And anytime they have gained yardage, it's been all on the running backs. There have been very few plays where everybody did their job, everybody adjusted what the defense was throwing at them, and blocked it up well enough for the running backs to get positive yardage. Most of the time, it's been plays like this by the running backs. All right, 2nd and 7 call here. I really like the play call, a draw play. These are not called enough. You're going to see 6 defenders in the box. The 7th defender is going to drop down from depth, and that is Kevin Byard, the safety of the Titans. So Knox is going to slip inside and pick up the linebacker with Williams drawing Clowney up the field on this play. Post-snap, you see both of the linebackers drop out into their zones. And so here comes Knox down the middle of the field. But I want you to pay attention to Brian Winters because he had such a bad game against the Titans. So his defender initially jumps inside here, and that's an easy read for Singletary. So he's just going to bounce it up into the B gap here. But Brian Winters is unable to maintain positional leverage here. All he has to do is get that right hand in place up near the shoulder pads to wall off the defensive tackle. To let Singletary bounce outside here, instead that defender works back over the top, so he retraces back over the top, and is able to disrupt Singletary here. So now Singletary has to break that tackle and prepare for Byard coming in from depth instead of making Byard miss. If Singletary had the opportunity to get by Winters and that defender, he would now be making Byard miss instead of preparing for a tackle coming from depth from that safety. So one guy blew this play. It's a simple draw play. All Winters has to do is maintain positional leverage so that Singletary can bounce it into the B gap and be one-on-one with Kevin Byard, who is coming from depth, so he is at full speed, but instead he has to prepare for a hit from that safety. Alright, early in the game against the Titans, 14:55 on the clock first quarter. The Bills come out and run an isolation run, a play that's supposed to hit up inside. This is a downhill run. Watch Dawson Knox motion into a stacked look right inside the B gap here, and the defensive line and defensive front shift over, and these two linebackers kind of get caught out of position here. So on the snap, the offense is running ISO, and so the center, Mitch Morse, and Brian Winters are supposed to work a combination block to 55, the linebacker. Knox is leading the play inside on 54, Evans. Cody Ford right here is supposed to work to the play side shoulder. So work to this side, swing his hips through, and seal off that defensive tackle on the play. As the play rolls, watch what happens to Cody Ford, watch what happens to Morse and Winters, and how Singletary really doesn't stand a chance on this play. This is only a 3-yard gain because everybody blows their assignment. No one can hold the middle of this line. Everyone struggles to execute their assignment. You have a combination block that never makes it to 55. You have a lead by Dawson Knox, who does a good job of getting a piece of Evans. But Cody Ford, his hand placement and his inability to swing his hips through the hole to seal off the gap for his running back just causes so much disruption up the middle, and Devin Singletary isn't able to get up inside the hole. First and 10 situation, 3:53 on the clock, first quarter against the Titans. This is a run by Devin Singletary that he absolutely earned himself along the perimeter here. You see Gabriel Davis at the bottom, who is supposed to block Kenny Vaccaro. He does not. Vaccaro becomes a contained player, gets outside. That forces Singletary to cut up inside. And as you can see, everybody's coming down the fill. I mean, this is pinning in a playmaker. So let's watch what happens on the snap. You're going to get a down block by Cody Ford on the nose tackle. You're going to get a reach block by the right guard, Brian Winters. And that's going to allow Morse to pull and Daryl Williams to pull. Now, on the snap, the defense executes a gap exchange. So you have Harold Landry spike inside. The linebacker's playing over the top. And Dawkins does a good job of processing this and letting that guy go. He knows that he has teammates coming to pick him up. If he dives inside, then they're going to have not only the safety Kenny Vaccaro off the edge free to tackle Singletary, but this guy would also be free. So it's a good job of processing that by Dawkins, as you see here. Morse picks him up, and that allows Singletary to get outside of those blocks. A good log block by Mitch Morse. He's reading that edge defender, Landry, and he puts his helmet on the outside, turns him inside, seals that lane. Here comes Daryl Williams to help out on number 90, and number 90 is free because the down block by Cody Ford was not executed properly. Look at his hand. His hand should be up near the shoulder pad, and you see him try to recover with his hand usage right there. But now that guy is working over the top, and that down block is not executed, and that guy disrupts the play. Number 90 disrupts the play. You see Cody Ford try to get back in the play, and he's lucky he doesn't get called for a hold here. Just a terrible play from beginning to end by the guard there, Cody Ford. And luckily, Devin Singletary has some moves. He makes a guy miss in a phone booth and is able to get positive yardage on 1st and 10. Here is a 2nd and 4 play towards the end of the first quarter, 3:37 on the clock. And again, watch the guards because both Winters and Ford blow their blocking assignments. They are not able to control the defensive tackles, and it was key to running up inside against the Titans. On the snap, I'd like to see Morse bang that defensive tackle over to Cody Ford a little bit better. He barely helps him there. He doesn't help Cody Ford get leverage from the start of this play, and it eventually comes back to bite them. Now watch Brian Winters, the right guard. He gets blown up. His pad level, his run fit on this defensive tackle, Laurel Murchison, who I loved at the Senior Bowl, is just horrible. He gets blown up from the get-go. He has no control over that offensive lineman. And if Winters seals off his guy and Ford had sealed off his guy, this is a pretty good gap for Devin Singletary with Diggs climbing to the second level. But both of those guards are unable to maintain leverage on those defensive tackles. They beat them up. They were just more physical. They were in total control on this run play. And they both shed the block and make the tackle on Devin Singletary. All right, here's one of those plays that all of us have been calling for. We want to see that pin and pull scheme that we saw from the Bills in 2019. But this time they're running it out of gun. This is a lot different than when they ran it last year from under center. Again, this is one of those plays where both guards do not execute their assignments cleanly. So Cody Ford is doing a down block on the defensive tackle. You're going to see a reach block by Brian Winters, and he has good position just based on the defensive tackle's alignment. He loses leverage late in the play. You're going to see a backside full block by Daryl Williams up onto the linebacker Evans, and it's a really nicely designed run play. But it's one that is quite complicated. It's one that probably changes up front based on the defensive front end structure, so there could be different line calls to really match up against different defensive alignments. So on the snap, you're going to see jet action across the formation by McKenzie, and that's important because it holds that backside linebacker that is kind of unaccounted for. But again, watch the play by both Ford and Winters. Cody Ford is executing a down block, but he does not get positional leverage here. That defender stacks and sheds this guy. He gets outside leverage right there, and that immediately forces a cutback by Devin Singletary. Everybody's out here leveraging the play and forcing Devin Singletary to cut it back up inside here. So his options are immediately eliminated outside. As the play progresses, now watch Brian Winters. He gets initially good position on that defensive tackle, working to the play side number, but the strength and power of that defensive tackle, he is able to work over the top, leverage outside. So now Devin Singletary has to cut it back. But even as Devin Singletary cuts it back right here into the really big gap right here, Brian Winters is losing leverage on that defensive tackle. So that defensive tackle is able to now throw him aside and take away the inside rushing lane. This is just really tough on a running back. Each time he progresses in his reads and his decisions, he is met with a defender and taken down. This is making it very difficult on the running backs of the Buffalo Bills. Every time a running back makes a decision, something else happens. Some offensive lineman loses his leverage, and he's not able to pick up the yardage that was blocked up on the play. The Bills have to do a better job inside if they want to run up inside, because they're having advantageous looks from the defensive standpoint where they can get up inside on these runs, but they just need to maintain their blocks for a little longer so that Singletary and the other running backs can make plays. Here's a crack toss play to get Devin Singletary on the perimeter against the Raiders. So you have a down block by Gabriel Davis on the defensive end, and that's going to allow the right tackle Daryl Williams and Mitch Morse to pull. But post-snap, Daryl Williams gets caught in traffic. That down block gets a piece of Daryl Williams. It holds him up, which then, of course, slows down Mitch Morse. Daryl Williams has to do a better job of clearing that down block. He knows that down block's coming, but you see him waste footwork right here. He should be getting depth. He should be getting wider and getting around that block so he can lead out into the open field for Devin Singletary. Instead, he gets caught in traffic, and then Tyler Kroft doesn't pick up the corner. He has him fitted up, but he doesn't pick him up. So now instead of just getting upfield for Devin Singletary, he's got to bounce it wide and make that guy miss. And again, he does get positive yardage, but he is having to do things that he shouldn't have to. He should be getting into that alleyway right there and getting upfield and getting more yardage. Now watch Daryl Williams, right tackle. I like Daryl Williams' power in the power and gap schemes more so than when he's out in space. I like him executing combination blocks between him and the guard. I like him when he is executing down blocks so that the guard can pull. And even short pulls, I don't mind him in those situations. But watch his footwork here as that down block comes from Gabriel Davis, and watch why he gets caught in traffic. He's not able to clear that block because he wastes footwork. Those short, choppy steps get him caught in traffic. He needs to work around this block. He needs to be able to adjust to the situation at hand. He should have the mental processing enough to work around this block. He has plenty of time here. He should be getting around the block by Davis so that he can help lead Devin Singletary out wide. He's unable to, and the play is minimized when really he could have had an alleyway much quicker for Devin Singletary. Second and 3 situation versus the Raiders. The Bills bust out their counter tray, so the backside guard, Cody Ford, is pulling and kicking out the linebacker. Tyler Kroft in that H-back alignment is going to fit up inside on the linebacker number 44. Post snap, you get 2 nice down blocks at the point of attack by Winters and Williams. Ford is pulling and trying to kick out and widen the hole for Devin Singletary. For some reason, Tyler Kroft is eyeing the very same linebacker that Ford is picking up, when really he should be hugging the down block by Williams and fitting up on the linebacker now. His inability to properly execute the assignment forces Devin Singletary wide a little bit. You see him have to delay and buy himself time so that Kroft can pick up that linebacker. But now Singletary is limited on where he can go. He's boxed in by 4 Raiders defenders. He's still able to get positive yardage on this play, but this play should have been hit up inside. The Bills have to do a better job of picking up their blocks, working together to get the ball up inside. They got to be able to run up inside. This run should be hitting up inside. There should be a block right here, and that would give Devin Singletary a really nice hole to hit. And as the safety Abram comes down into that gap, that push crack from John Brown will then give Singletary the ability to run the ladder and bounce it out wide. And now the Bills have an explosive run. Blocking up front has to be better. The tight ends and guards have to be better for the Buffalo Bills if they want to be able to run up inside. They're running a spread offense now. Those guards and those H-backs have to do a better job in their run blocking assignments. Here's a play from the Titans game, 1st and 10 situation. You see Yeldon in the backfield besides Allen, and Tyler Kroft is executing a cutoff block on the edge defender of the Titans. The offensive line did a good job here. They get really good movement at the point of attack, really good vertical movement on their combination blocks to the second level defenders. But post snap, the edge defender that Kroft is supposed to cut off darts back outside, and Kroft isn't able to stay with him. Now, I believe Yeldon pre-snap realized that there was a bubble on the backside here and was intending on hitting this gap anyways. But as you'll see, as the ball snapped, a defender does come and fill that B gap. But the issue here is Yeldon trips over Josh Allen. And I think what happens here, as Josh Allen is handing it off to Yeldon, that initial drop step and then crossover footwork by the running back was a little too tight to Josh Allen, and his right leg clips Allen, and it trips him up on this play. And this is important because if the timing of this play were upheld, I do think that TJ Yeldon has the option of bringing it backside or even keeping it front side and come out the front door there. So just little things like that have really just stymied the Bills' run game this year. I think Yeldon's footwork got a little ahead of his eyes here. I think he has the right idea of trying to cut it back because you see the drop step right there. Now here comes a crossover. The crossover is big. It's a big step, and it brings him even closer to Josh Allen. So he's nearly stepping on Allen's toes already, and you can see his eyes are up, and he's already looking up and looking to bounce it back here. But then now he's so close to Josh Allen, he clips his leg and just throws off the entire play when this really was blocked up quite well.